Had a really nice conversation with Bill Ash recently, author of Redesigning Conversations. I was interested in his work because, well, of course, he's in the ontological community, but um, he writes about reauthoring our scripts, and that part of storytelling and making change happen personally is really got the center of my attention. His book is about a guide to communicating effectively in the family, workplace, and society. Again, it's got my attention because of all of the work that we need to do with our family and changing the stories and not just propagating intergenerational trauma. So have a good listen. Really enjoyed having a chat, Bill. Thank you so much for taking time to spend with me. Appreciate you. Hey, hello, Bill.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no problem.
Good, good.
Like we're neighbors.
Yeah, I must say I've warmed to Zoom. I think a lot of us were skeptics, but sometimes I prefer it actually.
At work, I live in the world of Teams and Microsoft, and so this is a rare treat.
Yeah. You mean Microsoft Teams?
I do.
Yeah, my computer seems to implode every time I use that. So
Well, thank you so much
there
for
we
spending
go.
some
Well,
time with me.
no, it's good. It's good. I'll just there we go. I just turned up the volume. So over to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm so glad to spend some time with you. I personally have been feeling a little bit disconnected from the ontological community here in my local network in Portland, Oregon. You know, there's not a great density of like coaches and community to be around. I was thrilled
Yeah.
to have understood that Chauncey's was leading the charge with a bunch of monthly conversations with like thinkers. And so since that
Yep.
discontinued, I've just been doing some outreach and trying to connect with different people.
Right. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, Chauncey's certainly what's the word, trailblazer or
Mm,
amplifier or however you like to do it.
mm, and has been for some time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I did read his book. I don't know how we contacted. I can't remember. Anyway, we contacted.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I met you first as a guest at the salon, and so you don't have a big history with him.
Oh, not really. Yeah, we would have connected in the last, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. It was through LinkedIn, I think.
I see.
Um, but I don't know. Do you know Alan Sealer?
Well, I read his books and I've talked to him a little bit. I
Yeah.
unfortunately I couldn't afford this year to go to his class, but I mean I've
Yeah.
got 4 volumes and I've studied them delicately.
Yeah, he's actually probably, oh, it's hard to say someone's the best, but he's certainly one of the best facilitators.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
heard from a local colleague of yours. He's been working his jaw a long time at this content, and he's really good. I've never actually
yeah.
witnessed his content. I take it you've taken his class?
Well, I did the 1.5 year, I think it's called graduate diploma, but
Mm.
whatever it's called.
Right, right, right.
And, he's one of those people that really live to his values. He's not interested in hyperventilating on stage to 1,000 people. Um, and, he just goes through the course. Um, just oh no, just so value driven. What can I say? And Chauncey may have heard from me because Alan kindly did a forward to my book,
Mm,
and he might have heard of me through that. I don't know.
mm. Well, Alan has really developed quite a community in Australia and across the world now.
Yes, yes, very much so. And it's been just growing organically.
Mm,
And uh, I don't, if you to use the word mix with many ontological people. I've kept in contact with a couple of people from my
mm,
course.
mhm.
But I'm just sitting up here in Brisbane. I live on acreage, and just enjoy keeping away from.
Mm.
I don't keep away. I read about it, but the noise of what's happening, dare I say, in your country and affecting the world. So, what can I
I
say?
I too try and disconnect.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I do try to stay quite close to the community in my industry. I work
Yeah.
in process improvement. It is a bit of like corporate improvement management and project management. And what I am surprised in finding is that a lot of the mainstream business authors that are not from either the lean industrial engineering domain or the coaching domain have been talking more and more about way of being in their
Yep.
work.
Yep.
And so it is coming up to be very relevant on a day-to-day basis. And the deeper I get into it, the more I'm finding, well, the more I'm observing the limiting factors people are placing upon themselves by the mindsets and the narratives they have. For example, like a lot of negative self-talk. I mean, we can get away with a bit in business to like be self-depreciating for humor purposes or humbleness, but if it goes too far, it can really impact the interactions between people and how effective we can be in a team. And that's all way of being kind of stuff. It's not about like process or a set of steps we do in business. It's more about like how you show up and how you interact with people and what you think's possible with your people and how you might like take charge with all of the special projects around you instead of like helping other people rise up and grow into those things. So those are some of the recent observations I've been having about the relevance of way of being in a day-to-day environment.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great observation, and it's beautifully put. Um, it's a fine balance, isn't it? Between, well, let me step back. Have you heard of a guy called Ken Gergen?
No.
Yeah, there's an outfit. Um, it's a global outfit now, but it's called the Taos Institute, as in Taos, New Mexico, where
you've,
people gathered to form it.
you've
But
referenced that in your book a number of times.
yeah, and um, Margie, my spouse, has been my greatest mentor, if you like. She started doing a PhD with that. But anyway, I've been to a lot of their conferences, and his book, seminal book, Relational Being, was just fabulous.
Okay,
And
is that the 700-page one you reference?
yeah,
Okay, I got you.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. I would have read that
Hmm.
soon after he published it, I think. But Ken said to me, we're talking about um, our way of being, probably didn't use that term, and the skills of conversations, respect, etc., etc. But I remember him saying in Philadelphia, Bill, sometimes you've got to just say it as it is, mate, and you've just got to
Mm-hmm.
push ahead
Mm-hmm.
and just hope, do it as best you can, but not everyone will be happy. And sometimes you just got
Cool.
to do that.
Yeah, you're speaking to the courage I might need to generate in myself in order to intervene in someone else's negative self-talk.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Cool.
that's exactly right. And
Hmm.
probably the most courage is for our own negative
Oh
self-talk.
my gosh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But can I ask, have you read the book?
relational being.
No, my book.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, no, 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 no. Thank you. No, no. The reason I'm asking, I'm just interested.
Hmm.
Um, what do you think is the, one line message of that or something?
Oh, I
If
see.
yeah, I'm just
Hmm.
interested.
Yeah. Um. Okay. I hope you know.
I
Of
put you on
course,
your
I'm
spot.
gonna I'm
Sorry.
gonna bring into this all of whatever my predispositions are in background. But
Yeah.
I think you're telling me there is a real way to improve.
Yep.
We can be better. We're not stuck. We're dynamic, and there's techniques that we can learn from and use that are practical and ready at hand to make changes that are important to us. Um,
Yep.
um, I'm so grateful
Now that's
for.
good.
Okay, yeah. Well,
No, no,
like
I put you
you're.
on the spot. Margie, when she does, for she does a lot of facilitation,
Mm,
and the premise is everyone can just pass on anything. So you could have passed on that question,
no
but
way.
I was actually thinking the same today. I went for a cycle and sat in our gardens, Brisbane City Gardens, and had a coffee and donut, not donut, muffin. And I thought, yeah, what's the one question that I think is really good to ask? And probably coming out of my book, I think I did a chapter on it, is what am I failing to notice that I'm not noticing?
Oh
You
yeah.
know, that from that poem of Daniel Goleman,
Hmm.
um, usually attributed to Lang. And I guess that's what the ontological course told me. Everything worthwhile in life is obvious, and it's what are you noticing?
Can you recall that poem? Oh, wait a second. No, I don't see it yet. That was such a
It,
powerful thing to me. I'm working with a 12-year-old in trauma, and it's the most important message I think that I can try to get across to him.
yeah,
We have to notice ourselves. And from
and
there, it
yeah,
unlocks the world.
yeah, it's in the book somewhere, but um,
Oh, here it is. Daniel Goleman, page 49 for
yeah,
the
yeah,
studious
yeah,
of
that's
us.
right.
The range of what we think and do is limited by what we fail to notice. And because we fail to notice that, we fail to notice.
Yeah,
There's little we can do to change until we notice how failing to notice shapes our thoughts and deeds.
yeah,
And so I haven't
yep,
had the need to like be self-promoting much. And
yep.
so kind of dusting off my 2005 level of skills with social media.
Was social media around then?
Well, yeah, I mean, we tweeted and LinkedIn posted and stuff.
So, what do you brand yourself as? I hate that word, but
Not
I'll
at
use
all.
it.
Well, I mean, like I'm corporate and I'm salaried, so I don't have to do much of that.
Oh,
But
sorry, I thought you said you'd moved on from that.
no, I'm still on the salary paycheck.
Okay,
I call
okay,
myself an improvement professional.
okay,
My my
okay.
my studies in uni was industrial engineering,
Yep,
and so I studied mostly around quality and reliability, having to do with the semiconductor industry, with
yep,
a lot of advanced statistics. But I was mostly interested in general leadership, performance management, and like balanced scorecard kind of stuff.
yep,
But I got a job in construction, so after college was doing first like superintendent on the job site, but then got a role with a lean consultant in construction who was like the only consultant in construction around lean. And that guy was trained by Flores's ontological design course around linguistic action. And so in
okay,
construction projects, we teach people about promises and requests so that we could
yep,
get more reliability on the delivery of construction projects. So for 5 years, I went around the Southwest from San Francisco to Texas, teaching big project teams about how to make promises and track them on weekly work plans and have daily check-ins and do reliability
yep,
across with each other on the trades. And then I just make the long story short, wanted to stop traveling for work and have a family, so relocated back home and got a job in healthcare
yep,
doing kind of like project management process improvement stuff. And I now work for an insurance company doing very much the same thing, working on helping people set up production management, like visual boards and problem solving and strategic planning workshops and portfolio prioritization efforts for a
yep, yep.
disability carrier.
Okay, okay. So I hope you wear a bulletproof vest at the moment, being
Hmm.
in insurance. It's it's a interesting industry in the public eye at the moment. But that's interesting. Have you ever got into appreciative inquiry?
Hmm. Shine. What's his name? Shine with humble inquiry is I think my closest toe into that.
Okay, it's oh, what's his name? I've got a mental block. Uh, I can't see it there, but the guy that was kind of a co-founder of that was in the Taos Institute. I've been with him a few times. I just don't know. His name escapes me. But I got into that for a while, though. As you practice, as you learn things, you don't know what you do. It's hard to label, and that was a good thing about the ontological coaching degree or whatever. You just make it your own. as with everything.
Mm,
And I think my own view is if you get too sticky about a methodology, I'm not sure whether
hmm
it's that useful, but I'm sure others would disagree.
No, I mean, all of the people I work for are exactly aligned with that. I have to
Yeah,
completely leave everything I learned in uni at the door and
yeah,
like be helpful today for practical reasons. Otherwise, I'm not part of the team.
yeah,
An
yeah.
appreciative inquiry, something to look into, eh?
Well, I found it interesting. I mean, there's a lot written on it,
Mm,
but there's some, at least the structure of the way they go about it is just worth having a look at. Um, it may
thank you.
prompt some, more thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So I mean, I prepared very limited questions for our conversation, but I would like to ask you about a few things related to what you've covered in your book.
sure.
I'm mostly interested myself personally in like having the life worth living. That's what really like attached me to everything I've learned in ontology from Flores's book on gosh, I forget now what it's called, but it's like creating solidarity and community, one of his early writings.
Yeah,
You mentioned in your book quite a bit about reauthoring,
yeah.
and I would really like to hear what your thoughts are or like what advice you might give a young person, around how to approach change. Like, if you want to be a designer of your life and you want to go about making your life be the way you want it to be, what's your secret to success here? I mean, how can we like provide structures or systems or recommendation for activities or things for people to go about changing their life in order to have the life they want to have? I know it's
Wow,
kind of difficult to read
there's a
all.
book in that there's a book in
Yeah.
that question.
Well, I mean, like I
Um,
read your story and I thank you so much for disclosing so much about your own personal history in here
yeah,
because like your journey was amazing and I only wish I could have observed some of the things that you saw.
yeah. Thank you. I think in terms of reauthoring, um, I certainly got that from reauthoring the script, editing a book, like editing your life.
Mm,
But it just goes back to noticing. I mean, as I say in the book, I grew up in a very closed environment, a very
hmm
white privileged environment, and
mm,
there's nothing wrong with that if that's where you grow up. But um, I found that I was taught, as I mentioned in the book, I was taught respect, but that was limited to respect for people around you. So let's take that as an example. I'm successful in reauthoring my what I call my script of success I grew up with. I prefer to use the word it's a never-ending journey, and um, my journey has been simply trying to have one of noticing, not only noticing
mm,
my judgments of others or what I feel about others, but also once I notice them, what do I do about that?
hmm
And I think, if I was going to um, suggest to anyone about what I call reauthoring, it's actually exciting. You're going into other areas. I can remember in New York, I was with another person and we were walking across. We walked from across the Brooklyn Bridge, but we walked along the road on the other side, right there. Everyone would tell you, don't do that. This was at night. And we passed this loud, we passed this door with a loud noise behind. And, we decided to knock on the door or walk in, and it was a jazz bar. We were the only white people. And on one view, it was very scary, but another view, um, even though, I mean, we were allowed in, we got a drink. And that was one of the most exciting moments of my life, being in that
hmm
and kind of reassessing any judgments I may have had of that place and entering it
mm,
and put that, more broadly as a metaphor of life. I find it just really exciting learning about other people. And, the current target in the States now is like trans people. And in seeking to learn about trans people, you actually learn a lot more about life, about yourself, etc., etc. So it's just the scripts. What scripts do we have? And sometimes we're not aware of, in my view, how they inform us. So if we understand all our um, prejudices and biases and everything, then we can manage them, deal with them, or learn from them. I mean, I'm not sure I'm not sure whether I've answered your question because I'm not sure I know how to answer it in terms of a particular skill, but
Well,
it's curiosity. And it can be scary. And,
yeah,
it's,
I'm hearing the courage involved in what you're describing. You got to throw
yeah,
yourself into something.
yeah. Sometimes, we talk about courage. Sometimes it's a bit touch of insanity, but
Mm.
having on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, Margie and I were at this bar down there. Um, she was with the New York Theatre Company, and this is back in the day on the Lower East Side in this late 70s, no, early 80s, I think. Um, and it wasn't the safest of place, and we decided to walk back over to the village, and we were advised not to, but no, we wanted to risk it, and
Yeah,
we did, and then we were held up at gunpoint, and
you
that was
were.
another yeah, but they're
Wow.
amateurs. But
That's all
fortunately, I had a
right.
lot of money. Well,
That's a
fortunately, I had a lot
moment.
fortunately, I had a lot of money because I was buying a ticket in cash the next day, a plane ticket. So I just gave it to them. But it was scary. But I only mentioned that, wanting the experience, there was a risk, and yet it taught me so much. And it kind of helped me understand when people are scared or what they may think of the people that held us up or
Mm,
whatever. It just sends your mind going. And as I think I quote in my book or mention it that, traveling, if we want to learn, I think just walking the streets, you know, keep
mm.
noticing what's around you.
What's interesting to me right now at this moment is, I mean, I'm almost 50 years old. And
Yep.
so, my next decades in life, pray I have many, they're different. When I was having courage to go travel, these are young people ideas.
Yep.
And so now, as I go again, I'm going to be carrying with me those past experiences. And so I would suggest uh, go as quick as you can for whoever you are and wherever you're at in life. If you're looking to reauthor or design, um, try really hard to go and do something scary that maybe you can tolerate and see what you learn.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be scary, uh I again through Margie go to these creative writing courses or a Buddhist weekend or 3 days or whatever, or things like that, which aren't really scary. Though some people may think they are, but you just flow into it. So I don't think, or you can just walk,
Mm,
through over some mountain. I don't think it necessarily need to do something scary.
mm,
I think it's somehow, and I'm a very, I've been a stress ball most of my life, and I've had to work on that. And but if when I let myself go and de-stress and just let it be, it's amazing what can come.
mm. That sounds promising.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, none of this is easy. I remember one person said to me, I mean, I did a few years of coaching, and um, it was something like, I can't remember the exact words, but the insinuation was that I was portraying myself as the perfect being. And that really hit me a bit because I'm far from it. And, um, just ask my family.
I mean, there you
Um,
go.
yeah, and some friends. I mean, I can remember the friend I went around South America with. She just said, I'm leaving at one time. I'm leaving you. You're awful. And, you know, we're still friends. But, but she meant it. She
Hmm.
had a bag packed and she was going. So we can all
Hmm.
it's just a matter of noticing that and again, learning from it.
Mm.
It's
Noticing.
interesting.
I want to come back to that. Um, I've been feeling like the key to unlocking the doors has been around reflection, and then through different like small side comments I hear people make, especially like a few from Chauncey in the salon and others, was around like then reflecting on reflecting. And
Yeah.
once you bring the number line into that, then it can go on, you know,
Mhm.
3, 4, 5, 6 times until your brain starts to melt down or explode. But that does actually seem to be so practically useful. Being able to um, reflect on something, make an assessment, and then reflect on the assessment about how well you like or don't like what it is that you have been then doing. And then again,
Yeah.
it ref- it cycles to again. Do you want to make a change or not? These come up, and then we just continue this pattern of like being. It's about awareness again and again, and it's all kind of tied in time. So there's not so much around a real definitive numbers of reflections. So I don't want to like get stuck on that and talk about fourth and fifth and sixth order of consciousness because we're all just here right now and that's what matters and that's what's practical. But
Yeah.
still, you know, over time I can make sense of what my patterns are and begin to change things with a lot of intentionality and a lot of quiet time, shall we?
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I mean, you raise that word intentionality, which is very important. Uh, and we certainly need that in some of our patterns or whatever. Um, like in my family life, there are perhaps some of my patterns that came through I needed to change, and I had to be intentional about that.
Mm.
But I think I might have mentioned, I think I mentioned in the book when Margie, I think I used there strongly encouraged me to go to this week-long therapy course, and I had to
Mm-hmm.
change
Mm.
some aspects. But I think i- if I think we're all brought up, when we started growing up, we did grow up at least within the talk of values, whether it's respect or, treat someone like you like to be treated yourself and everything like that. And so I think as we start noticing, we don't necessarily have to have an overt intention to change. I think noticing will just um, put you on a
Mm.
journey of change.
Oh.
And I don't think we need to
Mm.
um, get too uptight about, whether are we being intentional or not. I think we can intellectualize things too much
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. And goal setting
And
theory is you can go, you can do so much with that, but then like at the end of the day, we're still who we are. And so just reflecting is what you're saying is the useful part.
yeah, it's a useful part of the journey. And I think we talk about way of being. I think it was Ken Gergen also mentioning in his book, I think. But what's your way of becoming is another way to put it. Um, because it is a journey of becoming. Um, none of us are static. Carol Dweck talks about the fixed mindset and growth mindset when we put a
Mhm.
label on it. But I think we all live somewhere along that continuum. And so the way of becoming, do you want a way of becoming? Do you want to? I think the greatest message is that becoming can be really exciting, as I mentioned before.
Mm.
um, and just going into a different shop. You know, we
Right.
talk and Margie has always celebrated that thing about the extraordinary of the ordinary,
Mm.
and I think we sometimes forget that.
Well, it makes a difference to my kids every day, the way I'm becoming to them.
Yep.
You bet.
You know, I mean, I guess there's a bit of intentionality around that, is there?
Well, I mean, I've got goals, sure, but I mean, all that aside, it doesn't. I mean, that doesn't come into play when I'm making breakfast, or
Yeah.
when I see them come down the stairs.
Yeah.
Not in the moment. It doesn't matter. I have
Yeah.
to. It is the excitement of riding that fine line of the relationship in the moment to see and receive and work with them in the moment.
And being present.
And being present, right? That with you now, even.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Even I've got an 8-year-old granddaughter in Sydney, and last time I went there, she demanded mobiles at the door. It was just fabulous. I just loved it.
Mm.
And then later on, when we were sitting down for dinner, I dared to lift my mobile to send the message. I said, "Oh, see, I've got to send this." She said, "No, you don't," and just took it.
Wow.
Actually, I think I tell the story in the book. I've forgotten the book's name, but I really enjoyed it. It was on listening, and the author taught, she was a journalist, and she said, "Well, a journalist's job is to listen." So I know a
Hmm.
bit about listening, and she told the story of someone whose little baby, I think, used to put the mobile phones down the toilet.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean you did briefly mention that in here?
So,
Yeah.
I don't think we give enough credit to our
Hmm.
children. But yeah, that was all about being present. Yeah.
I have been enjoying Stoicism more and more.
Yeah. Have you got into that? I've had trouble. I've tried to read on Stoicism, but I've struggled.
I'm trying, and I started with a silly little thing that's just like the daily calendar of
Oh yeah.
advice. And what I'm finding is that it's good advice.
Yep.
There's not much depth to it, but here today, April 30th, the best answer to anger is silence by Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
That's great. Doesn't take much, that's
Yeah.
great advice. So,
Oh, I totally agree. Who's that controversial Canadian psychologist? 12 Rules of Life.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, he attracts a lot of criticism. Just now got a mental block. But I decided I don't particularly take to him. And so I thought, 12 Rules of Life, I'll read it. So
Hmm.
I got it. And just to pick up on what you said about Marcus Aurelius, one-liner, all the headings are great for the rules. No question about it.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess it's how you interpret them, how you write about them, how you live them, which is the question. I can't believe I can't remember his name. Anyway, what is his name? I, oh, maybe, maybe to use the modern term, I've cancelled him. But yeah, it's he
Hmm.
wrote it and he's become a phenomenon around the world. He's got many followers.
Well, I'm so pleased to have spent this time with you, Bill. Thank you so much for,
Yeah.
being in my company and taking the time to have shared your messages here.
Okay. Thanks a lot, and let's do it again.
I would appreciate that very much.
Yep.
You
Okay.
take
Cheers.
care and enjoy
Thanks, man.
yourself.
Will do. Thank you. Bye bye.
You go. Bye bye.